Hello, my name is Dr. Roger Harris, and I am the Superintendent and Chief Executive Officer of the Boston Renaissance Charter Public School. Welcome to the Positive Youth Project. Our shows have been created to highlight the positive efforts of youth in our community and the adults who are guiding them down their pathway to their preferred future. Thank you for watching. We hope that you enjoy the program.
According to the Justice Department's Bureau of Statistics, 43% of all murder victims in 2007 were African American. 93.1% were killed by other African Americans.
I think society sometimes give up on African American boys. I think sometimes they're afraid of them. I think they see, there's this, they talk about the school to prison pipeline. I think that's what they see.
The same bureau reported in 2008, African Americans made up over 60% of the U.S. prison and jail population, with Hispanics at just over 20%.
Educational research shows all over the country that Black and Latino boys are at the bottom of the achievement gap. And so what we wanted to do was to focus on our youth, our young Black and Latino boys, and provide support and mentoring for them so that they wouldn't become victims to the stereotype.
Serious child. I'm a serious child with serious goals. My life is destined to be filled with positivity.
I am intelligent. My brain is...
While many youth-oriented programs use sports to engage young African American males in constructive, positive behavior to change these statistics, Boston Renaissance Charter Public School uses singing.
They were interested in singing. They were attracted to the chorus, and so we had a captured audience, and so we wanted to focus on them and use the music as the hook.
Try us come as we go along. Do not think, just sing a joyous song. Don't give up. You will win if you stay in the race. Try us come as we go along. Do not think.
The hook is what attracted third-grade student and Young Kings member Rodney Owens.
I decided to get involved with the Young Kings because I wanted to sing, and ever since I've been here, it actually changed my life.
The hope is that it's sort of like a development program where they learn to respect themselves, learn to respect others, get to see other cities, other countries, just be a window to the world for them, so that they realize that the world is bigger than their neighborhood, and just expose them to things that they might not be exposed to.
I've been behaving more, and I changed my attitude.
Kids feel good about themselves. Confidence is building. I see students who were shy, students who had a number of issues in the past, now willing and able to stand up in front of hundreds of people and either recite spoken word or sing or express themselves in a positive way. And it's like, it's gratifying. It's amazing to see that transformation. And I mean that's why we're in this business. We do this just for that, and it works.
This is so exciting.
The transformation of fourth grader Clinton Osula also occurred when he joined the Young Kings.
Clinton was very shy. He didn't say too much in the beginning of Young Kings. But then one day we were doing the poem, I'm a Great Somebody, and he stepped up and said, well, let me try. And he did, and he did an okay job. But then when I gave him the poem, There's a Fire Inside of Me, there is something about him that just woke up inside. And he started saying the poem, and everybody looked and they were very surprised. But for some reason, that poem fits him, because there's a little fire in him, and it's going to come out one day, and it's going to be amazing.
Well, I went to the choir last year and I liked it, so I came to the choir again.
Once the boys become a captive audience, the real work begins. And in this program, it starts with the name, Young Kings.
I'm calling them young kings because that's what I want them to be. Are they young kings quite yet? Not necessarily, but that's what the mentoring is all about. They're supposed to be disciplined in the classroom. They're supposed to always do their work. They're supposed to be, good students.
It first takes listening to your teacher and learn the things that you learned and doing your homework.
If students walk and talk the way that we expect them to, I think, folks in the community will learn from them. That's the hope. I had another mentor who told me, save the children. I had all these visions and I this immense vision about what we could do for parents and what, trying to spread beyond the school. And this wise individual said, circle the wagons, there's limited resources. Let's save the children. Let's teach the children, what needs to happen. Let's open doors for children. And if it spreads to the community, that's great. But we've got to capture the audience, let's work with them. And so that's what we've been doing. And hopefully when they go back, they can positively impact others.
It's important so people can have a chance to sing and change their life.
Well, I think there are different ways of mentoring. And, some people do it by speaking to kids, taking them to field trips, having them to learn about a different topic. I do it through music and through spoken word. So if the students are learning a poem about Invictus or learning the poem If or I'm a Great Somebody, and those words are so powerful, my hope is that they will, for the rest of their lives, they will remember those words. When they get into some tough times, which they will in their life, that they will remember those words and they would inspire them.
Some of the other messages that I take in is that you have to keep on going no matter what and stay in the race.
These messages have also inspired young Clinton Osula, who shares the words to his favorite poem, There's a Fire Inside of Me.
There's a fire inside of me.
Oh, I guess you can't see it. Well, it was placed there many years ago by those who lived before me. You see, I believe that they're cheering me on. They're saying, you can do this. After all, some of your ancestors made it with much, much less.
I heard him saying, you can make good grades. You can behave yourself. Be respectful. You can be successful. You don't see it, but I feel it. I have been blessed with many gifts, talents, and strong features.
Another benefit of being a young king is that it exposes these young boys to the outside world, a world that many of them may not otherwise experience, because 70% of the student body are at or below poverty and receive a free or reduced lunch, and many of them have never traveled outside the state of Massachusetts.
One example that I think is enlightening for them, they've traveled to schools, and when they walked in the door, the school is different from ours. Kids aren't in uniform, kids are running through the corridors, they've been in auditoriums where they're ready to perform, and the students are disruptive, and then they perform and capture the attention of these students and wow them.
Start guiding me now, teacher. Start praising me now, teacher. And you will see me rise to the highest heights. For I know I am a great somebody.
And then when they leave, they come back talking about how disruptive the school was and how the school had no rules. They see the difference. They can compare and contrast, and exposing them to different schools, they see different cultures, they see different behaviors, and then I think it puts things in context for them, and they understand and appreciate what we're doing and how we're doing things here. I think it just brings things together for them.
Part of the exposure includes educating the young kings about the importance of appearance and how it affects other people's perceptions.
For some reason it transforms them. When they put on the suits and ties, they become very different. They don't play around like they usually do when they have on a regular, uniform or their jeans or whatever. For some reason, they think, now I'm a young king. Now, I would like for them to know that before they put on the suit, but for now, it is transformative to have on a four-piece suit for whatever reason.
I feel like a gentleman, and the thoughts that come up into my head is that I can do this, and I'm ready.
I want the audience to be shocked when they see them. I want them to see their potential. I want them to see that those could be university boys, whether it's Harvard, Yale, Brown, University of Massachusetts, wherever it is. I want them to see the power they have. There's a poem that they have, I actually wrote it, it's called There's a Fire Inside of Me. I want them to see that fire.
One individual who saw the power and fire inside of the young kings is Harvard Law School professor Charles Ogletree.
I met these young men when they performed at Willard College back in October when I received an honorary degree. It was a mind-boggling experience to see these young men so articulate, so committed, so focused, and having a sense about manhood as young men that really inspired me to say, hey, I want to see them again and again.
As a result, Professor Ogletree invited the young kings to Harvard Law School to perform at his event focusing on the inner city issues portrayed in the HBO hit series The Wire.
And I don't know if you're familiar with that series, but a lot of violence, a lot of drugs. It's like the worst of the worst in urban cities, and so in the conversation about what's happening in Baltimore and with those kids and those families, he wanted to show that there are folks who are doing things to combat that, and he wanted our kids there to perform and meet the cast from The Wire.
Having Sonia Sohn, she's Detective Kima in The Wire, and I thought the way to really introduce her and her Rewired for Change, her effort for young people, was to say, let's have the young kings here to introduce, to open up this event. And I can't think of a better group that will both, in a sense, reinforce that young black men have a crisis facing them, but they can overcome it, but also to display the incredible talent that's coming up behind us.
I was touched because I was able to bring, 40 boys to Harvard to perform. And then we walked the hallways where Barack Obama walked, and we sat in the classroom, and then we went to the law school, and we sat there. I was touched by that, and I was looking at the boys with their suits on, and they were sitting there, paying attention and watching. It was unbelievable.
It was great. We got to walk in the halls that President Obama walked and sit in the seats that he sat in.
And it was an amazing event for them, because the kids saw Harvard, smelled it, tasted, walked the halls, and now Harvard's in their head, and so now we've planted the seed, and so they can see themselves doing the same things that President Obama has done. And so, again, it's just opening worlds for them.
It was huge. And they told us the fact that they have their, I think, library is bigger, I think bigger or as big as a football field.
And I told them at the end, I said, this is your school. They said, what do you mean by that? I said, this is your school. This is where you're going to college. They said, oh. I said, so look at the dorms. Check out where you're going to be walking. Check out your classrooms, because this is your school. This is where you're going. And I said, some of you may go to Harvard, maybe not. But think about it. You'll be going to Yale. You'll be going to Brown. You'll be going to University of Massachusetts. You're going to be going to Boston College. But it looks like this. This is where you're going to school. That's what I wanted them to get out of it, but that it's attainable, that this is something you can do. If you work hard, you do the right thing, you're disciplined, you can be here.
I get A's and B's, most of my grades, and I never really have to change my card or get many warnings.
I hope that these young men, as young as they are in the Young Kings, they may not understand everything that's going on, but if they can get through the process of osmosis, just a little bit of knowledge of what's going on, they can absorb it. It may not mean now when they're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, but it will mean something when they're 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So I remember I was at Harvard, and I remember we sung to these people. And I remember I met a professor who was black, and I remember I met an actress who was black, and I remember I met people who were lifting us up. And I think that's what I want to do. I want them to consider this is not Harvard's home, this is their home. This is their territory, and I want them to own it. It's not bequeathed to anybody. I want them to own it, to say, I'm at the Boston Renaissance Public Charter School today, but tomorrow I'm going to be at Harvard, or at Howard, or the girls at Spelman, or at Fisk, or at Morehouse. I mean, I want them to think about all of those possibilities and not to give any of those away.
One of the major challenges for these young boys is overcoming some of the obstacles in the community that can have a negative impact on their behavior.
So they actually live in two lives. You know, they adapt to the school behavior, then they adapt to the community behavior, and we lost some. We lost some kids, you know, because of what happens in the community. And these were kids that had the potential to be superstars. And if we could have just removed them from that environment, put them in a place where they wake up in the morning, have breakfast, go to school, have athletic activities, homework help, have a meal, go back to sleep, you know, and then not in that, I mean, we could have saved them.
The motivation to save young African American and Latino boys comes from these adult mentors' experiences with their own mentors.
When I was in 4th grade, my only male teacher, black male teacher, was Mr. Lee. And one day he gave me a note and told me to go down and give it to Mr. Roberts. I had no idea what it was for. But he was looking at me, this poor little black kid living in poverty, and he had a note for the barber and said, cut this kid's hair. And first it was embarrassing because I didn't have any money, but it was Mr. Lee saying, I'm going to help you, young man. You're bright, you're intelligent, you're gifted, you're happy, and you should look like you're somebody who has all those skills and abilities. And it was that kind of sense that somebody mentoring me, somebody looking out for me, somebody going into their pocket and doing something for me, that made it clear to me that I had mentors that I didn't even realize they were mentors, and they were quite often black men.
I tried to replicate what was done for me. You know, there were some things that were done that positively impacted me, and then I tried to do that with others. And what we tell students and what we tell teachers is, you know, don't do anything for me. Do what I did for you, for those coming behind you. And so we put the responsibility on them.
I look up to Dr. Harris because he was able to work with Miss Lee Jones and make the Young Kings and make the choir and make the school.
They also made the First Ladies of Renaissance, which is part of the Voices of Renaissance choir, and the sister group to the Young Kings. Only these young ladies created their group in, let's just say, a more insistent way, according to First Ladies member Kyla Antoine.
Well, the Young Kings, they had a mentoring program, and the girls were seeing how they were doing all this great stuff, and we were like, excuse me, we're in here too. So we talked to Miss Lee Jones, and we said, we want to do something too. We want to have our own little thing that we can do just for us girls. And so we started the First Ladies, and we even came up with our own name.
We really wanted to focus on boys because you understand what's going on with boys, but they really, really wanted to get together. Now, at that time, there were probably about 150 girls, and we started out with 150. And so on Thursdays and Fridays, we decided to split the girls and with the boys. And so the girls would be in the gym, and then we put the divider down, and the boys would be on the other side. And then we just started mentoring them from then. So they came up with their own name. They came up with Ladies First, and then someone said, what about First Ladies? And they all agreed that that would be the name.
Since its creation in spring 2010, the goal has been to expose these young ladies to opportunities and experiences beyond their imagination. Experiences like the second annual First Ladies Breakfast, where more than 120 successful women came to share their life experiences and begin a mentoring relationship with the First Ladies of Renaissance.
I think they understand that they needed to give back. Maybe that's what it was. And I think it's empowering to give back. You know, remembering they were that little girl who was insecure, who didn't have a lot, but look where they are now, teachers and lawyers and doctors and CEOs, and that's what was in the room today.
Among these very successful female role models and mentors was a very special guest and a true First Lady, Diane Patrick, First Lady of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Patrick is also Kyla Antoine's new mentor, and Kyla wasted no time getting to know her.
I asked her some questions on like what was it like being the governor's wife, and like what is a week like for you, and like how has your life changed from when before you were the governor's wife. And she told me how she just has to remember how to love herself, because sometimes the media will say different stuff, and like her head will get filled up with a bunch of different things, and she just has to remember to love herself and love what she does and love her family and all the people that love her.
The First Ladies of Renaissance members learn when they participate in the choir that loving oneself and increasing self-esteem are the main focus.
Well, we talk to the ladies a lot about, having high self-esteem. At this age, a lot of the girls have low self-esteem. They don't like the way they look, the way their bodies are growing. So we do talk about that. I had an instance where I had a box with a mirror in it. And I saw him, I said, I'm walking around with the most important person, the picture of the most important person in the world is in this box. And I walked around with it, and I said, I can't tell you. So I said, you tell me who it is. And they said their mother. They said, the First Lady of the United States. They named all these different people. And so I said, come and look into my box. And when they looked into the box, there was a mirror. And they looked, and it was themselves. And they couldn't tell anybody what they saw in the box. It was a transforming time when they realized that in that picture was the most important person in the world. It was them. And so that started something, very, very precious.
Well, I've been with the First Lady since 3rd grade, and so I just think it's like the most helpful program here at this school, because it helps me build up self-esteem. It helps me to remember like where I came from, like all the people that love me, and the support, and it just blesses me pretty much.
While building self-esteem in these young ladies creates a solid foundation, there is also a focus on building strength so they can confidently command respect from others.
Well, Miss Lee Jones always tells us to stand up for ourselves and to stand up for what we believe in, and to stand up for our rights. And so I take that with me all the time, because sometimes I do feel like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But I have to remember to stand up for myself and not be weak.
Kyla is very, very special. She's quiet in nature, but very powerful when she speaks. And when we were getting ready to go to D.C., to the White House, Kyla was one of the students who was not able to go, unfortunately. And when they interviewed her with Channel 4, 5, and 7, they were very impressed, because she said, I'm not going. But I am so happy for my friends and the people in the choir who will be able to go, because when they go, they represent me. And I was thinking for a sixth grader who's 12 years old, that was very insightful. Some adults wouldn't be able to be, as loving and giving about that point as she was. So, but she's very special, very smart, very focused.
As members of the First Ladies of Renaissance, the girls have the opportunity to travel to places like Washington, D.C., New York, Philadelphia, and perform for a variety of audiences, like the President of the United States, in historic venues like Boston Symphony Hall. But getting dressed up is certainly one of their highlights.
It takes a while because there's a really long line to the bathroom, but we also feel confident. We feel like we always feel so pretty in our dresses, and sometimes we even get to wear our pearls with the earrings, and that just feels so good because we look so pretty.
Well, it's interesting because they wear, very kind of chic black dresses, but I think it's the pearls. All of them wear pearl earrings and pearl necklaces, and then they wear, black heel pumps, and it just makes them feel like ladies. It's interesting, a lot of the girls really don't like to wear dresses at this age. They like to wear pants, and so we insist that they wear dresses. So it is a transformation. They feel pretty, they feel ladylike.
Whether it's a first lady or a young king, the Voices of Renaissance sings to a different tune. A tune that shapes young people to be proud, confident, caring, considerate, and productive members of society.
We hope you've enjoyed this latest episode of the Positive Youth Project, a series created by the Boston Renaissance Charter Public School to highlight the positive activities of youth in our community and the institutions and organizations who are mentoring them along the way. My name is Sharmi Snetter, 4th grade teacher at the Boston Renaissance Charter Public School. For more information about the Positive Youth Project and how to support the project, or to submit a recommendation of an organization or individual positively and successfully mentoring today's youth, please contact Boston Renaissance Charter Public School Superintendent and Chief Executive Officer Dr. Roger Harris by email at rharris@bostonrenaissance.org, by mail at 1415 Hyde Park Avenue, Hyde Park, 02136, or by phone at 617-357-0900, extension 1115. We welcome your support and feedback and hope you'll join us for the next episode of the Positive Youth Project. Until then, I'm Sharmi Snetter. Thanks for watching. Take care.
Thank you.